Are you ready to listen to my dad Joe and Uncle Justin talk about sports? Now on with the show.
The Joe Mays and J-Raff Show is brought to you by Mays Sandwich Shop, which have been serving the greater West Lawn area delicious food for over 70 years. You are listening to the Joe Mays and J-Raff Show.
Boring.
A weekly podcast about sports since 2011,
Don't you ever get tired of being wrong all the time?
with a focus on football.
Sue, late in his career, is going to have his first Super Bowl title. Now, no wonder they want to call it Tampa Bay. Or Tampa Brady. One more snap, would you have guessed when this impossible season was trying to launch that you'd get it all in, you'd get to Tampa, and when the Super Bowl ended, the ball would be in the hands of Tom Brady.
I don't know why we ever think it won't.
The Tampa Bay Buccaneers have a second Super Bowl title in franchise history.
And Tom Brady doesn't pass the torch quite yet to Mahomes, does he? Even though
You're looking at the greatest right there.
Now, here are your hosts, Joe Mays and Justin Raffoff. If we could just make sure that Leonard Fournette doesn't get any more points than what I've already seen him get in the first 10 minutes of this game.
Chris Godwin, good.
Yes,
Feed him
Chris
the ball.
Godwin, I'm fine with that. I'm fine with Chris
I want
Godwin.
20 receptions for 180 yards and 3 touchdowns.
Tonight we're anti-Fournette and anti-Evans. That's where we're at.
I'm all on board.
I mean, we're always anti-Tom Brady.
Yes.
But in all
but
respect.
to be honest, if Tom Brady's doing well,
Get him. What do...
if Tom Brady's doing well on passes to Chris Godwin, I can deal with that tonight.
Stop throwing to Fournette. Like, this is maddening.
Hand it to Fournette, but have Fournette throw it to Godwin. No, that wouldn't help.
No,
you.
I don't know. I don't want that either. Oh, okay. So welcome to episode 343 of the Joe Mays and J-Raff Show, as we're here in the 2021 NFL season, nearing the end. We're in week 15. Are you, like, could some... Oh, he fumbled. Oh, no. I'm speechless as he's already racked up probably like 6 points just on receptions alone. Like, is there a linebacker or a nickel cornerback that's going to cover him?
No.
Apparently not. Episode 343. Coincidental, as I'm now playing Halo Infinite. And for those of you that are into Halo, know the significance of 343. And that means nothing to Justin, but I just wanted to point it out.
I'm not sure I've played a Halo game since Halo 1. Well, it wasn't Halo 1. It was just Halo. That's not true. I'm sure I played the second one when it came out. But I'm not sure
we
I've
used to
played
have
since then.
Epic Halo System Link.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, like, don't get me wrong. Like, I played that. And I honestly have played the first one. I played, like, a campaign, like, the whole way through. Like, I did that. But I haven't really done anything since. Well, honestly, I don't know that I've bought a video game in the last decade.
I have.
Right. Well, I say that's not true. During quarantine, I bought.
Did you buy college football?
No, I bought Mario Kart on Wii for Austin with the steering wheel and all that stuff. So
good stuff.
But that was the last thing, and because like the Wii wasn't ours. Like we went out to Denver a couple years ago, and my son like enjoyed it. So my sister was like, he can take it. We never play it. So we just brought it home with us. And,
even better. Free
right,
Wii.
So, and he plays it occasionally. He enjoys it. But, he'll play my old Xbox 360 some, but it's the college game or the NCAA or the NFL game, the Madden game.
You're going to have to not only buy a new video game.
Oh.
You're going to have to buy a new video game system in
gladly.
about a year.
Gladly.
Yeah,
gladly.
like next holiday season, you're probably going to be in the market
that'll be all right.
because the new college football game is supposed to be out next summer, not summer 2022. Summer 2023 is when we're supposed to be getting the new EA Sports, whatever they're calling the college football game. It's not NCAA. I think it's just college football, right?
It's probably going to be college football, yeah.
And they're still working out some of those things, but with NIL in full force now, a bunch of schools have committed to the licensing clearinghouse. I know there's a few schools that have already backed out, but there's time to get them back in the game.
And here's the thing, this will sound silly, but you're not going to want to be one of those schools where the players can't be themselves in the video game. They're not going to want that.
They're honestly
with
people
the way
will be
things are right now.
Kids are not going to not go to a school just because they can't be themselves in the video game. I'd be like, that's going to matter. It may not be the deciding factor, but it could be something that tips it in favor of another school.
It won't be
it's just one little thing.
be the biggest thing for anyone. But if you think it wouldn't matter at all, I don't think you understand how recruiting works.
At all, yeah. You are way
and there
way
are
out of
many
touch.
factors, but that kind of thing is a big thing. It's the same thing where people are like, they would never go somewhere because of the uniforms. Well,
yes, they will. Oregon made
right. They may not go there strictly because of the uniforms, but to think that Oregon wearing all those uniforms doesn't have any effect, no, that's
if it
foolish
didn't have
as
any
well.
effect, they wouldn't do it. They're either making a ton of merchandising or getting recruits.
Right.
Otherwise, they wouldn't do it. Very few things are done just for fun. I hate to tell you, I hate to rain on that parade, but. So the college football game will come out. Justin's going to need a new system. I don't know. I might need a new system by then because I do not have the latest Xbox. We'll see what comes out when that debuts. But, yeah, video games. Obviously, I bought Halo recently, so I have bought one in the last 10 years. But I also bought a bunch of games that are not for me because we're getting the girls Nintendo Switch Lites for Christmas.
Nice.
I bought a bunch of games for them, and have been having fun getting that set up for them to play.
That's cool.
Because I told Kelly, I was like, I have to have this ready to go out of the box. It can't be, all right, open it up and now take an hour and a half to get it set up, connected to the internet and set up an account and turn on the parental controls and download patches for game. I was like, this needs to be done.
Right.
And we're getting there. We're getting there. So Justin and I are here to talk about NFL season. 2021, we're week 15. We're nearing the end of the season, but things are pretty crazy. A lot of teams still in play for the playoffs. Aren't any great teams we think right now. I don't know, maybe some would say Green Bay. I'm not really sold on that.
I think they clinched today.
They clinched a spot, right? Did they clinch the division? Did they? Well, I believe Tampa Bay can do that tonight too, as we watch them play the Saints.
I think they can, yes. But also two pretty weak divisions, I feel like.
I
this
think
year.
The chance for New Orleans to challenge Tampa Bay may have gone by the wayside when Jameis Winston got injured.
And I look at it like this: New Orleans lost to the Eagles. There you go. It tells you everything you need to know.
Well, that was also a severely depleted New Orleans team, right?
So they don't have Sean Payton tonight.
And they didn't.
They don't have Jameis. And
they didn't have Jameis. They didn't have Kamara when they played the Eagles.
Right.
They have Kamara now.
Right. I also look at Atlanta. The Eagles beat Atlanta. Not a contender.
The Eagles
beat Carolina. Not a contender.
Did the Eagles play Tampa?
Yeah, they lost on a Thursday night. Not terribly.
I just don't remember that.
It was a Thursday night game earlier in the year.
Okay.
Well, obviously it wasn't later in the year.
It was week 17.
Yeah.
Oh.
It was next week.
All right, that was nice. Give credit to Taysom Hill and Marcus Callaway. But this was a wacky week because not just the NFL, basically everywhere is going through yet another COVID upswing. Massive outbreak. This Omicron variant is not playing nice, and people are getting sick. And in order to avoid spreading the coronavirus once again, as we make our way towards a 2-year mark now of this pandemic, sports leagues are adapting, and one of the things the NFL did this week because of issues with multiple teams is they started to delay games. There was supposed to be a second game yesterday, actually, which would have been the first game on Saturday, because I know you were upset we didn't get football until the late window.
Right, it's fun when there's those back-to-back games on Saturday afternoon and evening, and we missed that because of the game.
Well,
and I get it. It's just frustrating. It's frustrating because the way the NFL has handled it, in my opinion, it has not been the best.
We talked about last week how we don't like the late. I mean, we like the late night game, but we don't like it because we don't watch the whole thing.
Right.
Because we're especially on Sunday nights.
Right.
We got to get up the next day to work.
Saturday night's not as bad.
A little
I
bit
actually
better.
watched last night, but then, Sunday night, like I'm not gonna watch to the end of the. Most likely, I'm not gonna watch to the end of the game tonight because I got work tomorrow morning. So
Right.
No thanks. Maybe I will. But
Well, so we got one game on Saturday. We had a game Thursday night.
it was a heck of a game last night.
We had a heck of a game Thursday night too,
Yeah, we did.
between the Chiefs and
Yeah,
the
we did.
Chargers.
I didn't
Huge
stay up for that
game.
one either. I went to bed.
Heck of a game last night between the Colts and
Oh,
Patriots. And now today we finished with a whole bunch of more games. This is the first week since early in the season there aren't any teams on bye. So I believe today do we have 10 games today? Is that right? Because I think there's 4 games left.
Yeah, there's 4 games
2
left.
Monday, 2 Tuesday. Is that right?
Yeah.
So we had 10 games today, and again we had some interesting games. Some that came down to the last play, the last moments. One of those being, again, not to rub it into your mom's face, but
Right.
the Ravens again lose because of a failed 2-point conversion.
Yeah. That's 2 games.
That's a 2-game swing. Like,
Right.
That is massive.
Yeah.
And now the Bengals lead that division
Right.
with the Browns to play, but
right.
still,
But if the Browns win tomorrow, they're in first place.
that's crazy.
Yeah.
And another team in the NFC North making waves. Although I don't know in our pool if this is going to help me a lot. I took Pittsburgh today.
Okay.
I showed my dad because he said, he's like, how many people took Pittsburgh? I was like, I did. And I was like, well, at least I think I did. And I pulled up the Google Sheets with him. I was like, here you go, moment of truth. And I unhid my column.
My mom took Detroit.
Okay, well,
No, not okay. You're not supposed to take Detroit.
but I mean, she's probably the only one.
Yeah, and yeah.
Go ahead. I know what you're gonna say.
I'm not gonna say it. Not gonna say it.
So.
She already told me to tell you to stop with the Ravens talk.
Look, I'm not. I mean, there's no vendetta here. There's nothing. I'm not out to get anyone. I mean, I'm not a huge Ravens fan, but when a team loses twice in a month
So
on
here's
a
the
failed
thing.
2-point conversion,
2 weeks ago I disagreed with it against the Steelers because the Steelers I know they said we're depleted in the secondary and everything, but just the Steelers hadn't shown a real threat to just openly score, and you have a great kicker. You have the best kicker. So that was my take in that game.
Mm-hmm.
Aaron Rodgers, and they do have a depleted secondary. I understand going for it today, especially because you have your backup quarterback. So you have your backup quarterback, you look at the way the system's set up in the NFL. I get it. I understand. It comes down to executing the play. Honestly, both times. Last time, they got a blitz, and Jackson had to rush the throw, and it went off of Mark Andrews' hand. I know it would have been an insane catch, but we saw Saquon make a harder catch today.
right? That catch was unreal.
I disagree with the play call today. How do you run a play that has one option for your 2-point conversion? I don't like that. With the way they had been moving things, I think they should have done something.
Well, there's plenty of 2-point plays out there. All you got to do is watch the Illinois-Penn State game into how to not convert on second
Yes.
down, and then start from there. Or not on second down, a 2-point conversion. But throughout the season, I just feel like...
So do they not have the pirate ship there anymore in Tampa?
Oh, I thought they did.
I didn't look like they do.
Really?
Yeah, right there on that scene.
Huh.
And I was looking for it last time they played, and I didn't see it either.
That would
That's
be
where
news
you went
to
to
me.
the Super Bowl, right?
Yeah. So our remaining games are, we already talked, Las Vegas, Cleveland is a huge one. Cleveland wins, they move into first place in the AFC North. That one is tomorrow at 5:00.
But the Raiders could climb into back into the wild card mix if they get a win.
I'm for Cleveland in this one because Las Vegas beat Miami in overtime earlier in the year, and if Miami wants any choice or any chance to make it into that final seed, I need the Raiders to lose. So I'm unfortunately a Cleveland fan for that game. Then I'm a huge Vikings fan tomorrow night against the Bears. That game is a normal Monday night game at 8:15. I need a huge game from Dalvin Cook to advance in my fantasy league because Leonard Fournette is just killing me tonight with all these catches so far. So I need a big night from Dalvin Cook tomorrow. Vikings Bears. Vikings trying to stay in the NFC playoff picture. They're such an up and down team. They're a tough one. You lose to the Lions one week, you beat the Steelers next week. Just really up and down. Tuesday, then, one of the other delayed games was Seahawks-Rams. Rams trying to leapfrog into first in the NFC West after the game that...
talk about how things could change, like basically from Thanksgiving to now. If the Rams win, they're in first place in their division.
They would be 10-4. They 9-4 against the 5-8 Seahawks.
And could put probably the nail in the coffin for the Seahawks season. I know at 5-8, it's unlikely they are to win out, but they could. I don't think it's going to happen, but they could. And if they do, they could be in a spot where they might be able to creep into that last wild card spot or something. But if the Rams beat them, their season's done.
Then the other game on Tuesday at 7 o'clock, both games at 7, is Washington against Philadelphia. Both teams at 6 and 7. Both have hopes to sneak in also to the NFC wild card, along with the Minnesota Vikings.
And the Eagles and Washington play each other twice over the next 3 weeks.
Yeah, so this is a huge game in that regard. Can either team, I guess, they statistically still catch Dallas?
Yes. If Washington and Philly tie tomorrow, Dallas clinches the division. If either team wins, they can't clinch till next week.
Until next week.
Right.
Okay. So this is one of those, though, that I look at. This is a slam dunk win for the Eagles, right? With the way that Washington is shorthanded and the issues they've been going through all
Washington
week.
got 4 guys back today. They'll probably get more guys back tomorrow, including their top 2 quarterbacks may be back tomorrow. So, and because they're not playing today, McLaurin's going to clear concussion protocol like tomorrow, so he's going to be available. So, like, Washington's getting a bunch of guys back.
Are they physically capable of performing properly, though, is going to be
the Eagles lost to the Giants 2 weeks ago. There are no guarantee wins for the Eagles. None.
There are no guaranteed wins for any team.
No. We went over this last week. Like,
as the Lions proved today.
I still don't think there's a great team. Like, the Packers are playing really well. Tampa's been playing really well.
Kansas City's been playing
really well. But outside of those teams, and I'd say all those teams are good, but I don't know that any of those teams right now, okay, Tampa's weird because they weren't real great and then went on a hot streak at the end last year. But, like, I feel like Tampa's maybe at the same spot they were last year at this time, where you're like, okay. But I wouldn't say the Chiefs are as good as they were last year right now.
Right.
And I don't know that the Packers are as good right now as they were last year. So it could be interesting to see how it plays out.
So the Chiefs and Chargers played Thursday night. Kansas City getting the win in overtime, a 35-yard touchdown by Travis Kelce to give them a 2-game lead over the Chargers, and maybe it's essentially 3. Did they beat them both times this year? Did KC and the Chargers play?
Chargers beat the Chiefs the first time.
Chargers beat the Chiefs
right,
the first
so
time.
it was huge because if the Chargers beat the Chiefs, they were going to be in first place.
They were going to be in first,
because they'd be tied, but they would have swept them.
So that knocks the Chargers down a bit. The Chargers are... They feel like they're almost there.
I was starting to think, like, hey, maybe this is that team that's going to win some of these games. And then they find a way to lose another close game that they probably should have won.
And then last night, thankfully, we saw the New England winning streak come to an end. Although the Colts tried to give it to them.
Yeah, I didn't pick that one, though.
Yeah, I did.
I almost did.
I did. I got those 2. There's a few others that I didn't, unfortunately. But I got Indianapolis over New England. My dad and I were talking about that at the end of the work week.
I just didn't trust the Colts, like that, because there has been a few times this year where I've been like, oh, they turned the corner, and then they haven't. And so this is one where maybe they have.
Look, the Patriots are good, and they absolutely could win the Super Bowl, but they're not like all
Oh,
the
no,
teams,
no.
they're not, this incredible team that can't be exposed, and they were
Right.
exposed.
But the thing, go ahead.
Well, I was
Sorry,
just gonna say they were exposed a bit. They didn't offense didn't get great offensive line play. They had special teams mistakes and they had penalties.
Right.
And it's tough to win
Right.
games when you're not overwhelmingly
One of the tough
accomplished.
things here, though, was like you watch those first 3 games, like, oh man, or first 3 quarters, you're like, this is a setback for the Patriots, like setback. And then Mac Jones leads them, and next thing you know, they're 3 points away.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh my gosh, like they're a stop from maybe winning this game, and you're like, oh no, like.
Can't
but they
say we
did.
haven't seen it before.
Right. How about the Colts had not beat the Patriots since before Deflategate?
Wow,
Yeah.
that's going back.
Yeah.
NFC East, Dallas and the Giants, New York, just
Bad.
really looking bad. Not
Cowboys
looking good whatsoever.
looking
Cowboys
great.
just kind
Offense
of
still isn't
Yeah,
clicking.
just moving along, getting wins that they need. They ran out to a huge lead last week and nearly gave it away. This one, once again, saw Dak get strip sacked from behind later in
Right.
the game, and just they still got a lot of issues.
Right.
But the Cowboys have now beaten the Giants 9 of the
defense
last
looks
10
really
times.
good. Defense looks really good. They've got a lot of playmakers.
Did
there
Mike
on
have a
defense.
sack today?
I don't know if he did. He had that pass breakup though, like 20 yards down the field. Like, yeah.
This is another game that I think a lot of people were surprised with, just because people were rallying around Jacksonville after Urban Meyer
Yeah.
got the boot.
So
But Texans got their third win
I,
of the year,
I thought
30
about
to 16.
changing this one, but I did not.
I took Jacksonville.
Yeah. So I took Houston, and then I was going to change because I'm like,
I
Jack-
should
I
have
was like,
changed
Jackson,
to
I was like,
Houston.
Jacksonville's going to change. Jacksonville's going to rally, And early on, they looked okay, but then the Texans put it on it. And who's the coach in Houston? Like, has he maybe? Like, I know there's a lot of talk where maybe.
Cully? Is it Cully?
Yeah, something like that. Like I feel like he deserves another shot at this. I know there was some talk how they're so bad, he's probably just going to get 1 year and done. But like, they've rallied, and they that roster is so bad, and he has them. I know they've only won 3 games, but like,
But
that
they're
team
giving
shouldn't
teams
have
some
won.
issues. They're
Right.
they're
That team,
giving teams
that team
a fight.
should. The Jacksonville roster isn't very good, but they beat like I don't know.
Well, and the Jaguars beat the Texans to start the year,
In
right?
week 1,
Yeah,
right.
in week 1. The Texans, they're not very good, but Jacksonville just isn't any good either. Like they're
No.
just not.
Jacksonville's
Not good.
Jacksonville's in line to get the number 1 draft pick again.
Now this says Houston's won 8 straight games against Jacksonville. So did Houston win the first week?
I guess Houston made. You know what
Oh
they
yeah, that
did.
was when Tyrod Taylor. Everyone
Right,
was like,
right.
"Oh, maybe Houston won't be that bad,"
Right,
and then he
right,
got hurt.
Right. So they beat the Jaguars twice. So the Texans or the Jaguars could have the number 1 pick back-to-back years.
Yeah. Well, and
Maybe they could trade it for a coach.
interesting thing about the Texans and only having 3 wins. Whenever people talk about like the bad teams in this league, I feel like they're like the 4th or 5th team that gets mentioned, even though they
Right.
have 3 wins.
Well, like,
Well, everyone is all over Detroit, but now they've won 2 of the last 3.
well, you know what? What has to happen for the Texans? Well, 2 things. One, the biggest thing is they need the Deshaun Watson thing to get resolved one way or the other. Like, he's either in trouble and they pretty much just, all right, they're done with that, or that issue resolves and they trade him and start to fully be able to rebuild.
Right.
But they need some closure there one way or the other. Like, I also feel like not the GM. The GM's the guy they brought in from New England a couple years ago. But the guy who's like the president of football operations, who has come out is the root of many of the problems, not separate from the Deshaun Watson problems, but like he was the issues with Bill O'Brien. He had the issues with he basically ignited the issues with DeAndre Hopkins. Like, just a lot of these things come back to him, and so I don't know that it gets better. Like, when you have one of those problems, like, I don't know that it's going to get better. And who knows, the Deshaun Watson thing, those legal things, they can take forever to play themselves out.
But the Texans, I mean, they'll finally have a first-round pick in this year in the draft.
And if Watson was available, they could trade him and get more.
Right. It'll be interesting, but everyone talks about Detroit because they were, 0-10, 0-11, 0-10-1, or whatever they were. Now they won 2 out of 3. Talk about Jacksonville with the way Urban Meyer, that was an unmitigated disaster that we said was coming.
Arguably one of the worst NFL coaches ever.
We said that was coming all along. Like, I don't understand what these billionaires are thinking when they make decisions like that. The Jags owner, Khan, keeps making mistake after mistake after mistake, and he's just buried his own team.
Well, he's averaging a new coach every other year. And he's closing in on a decade of the team. His next coach, I think, will be the 5th coach. So not counting the interim right now.
Right. Don't count them. The Jets and Giants are both also bad, and that's in a huge
and
market.
they've already kind of said, Joe Judge will be back next year. Well, will he?
If they finish 4-13.
And the GM's retiring.
Gettleman, yeah.
Gettleman's retiring. So what are you going to – you're going to handcuff your new GM with that coach? We've seen how that works. It never works.
But But if they get rid of Judge, Jones is also done. Because the new GM's going to want to come in and clean house.
I agree.
You're not I know Jones has gotten hurt, not played a bunch this year, but
he seemingly has gotten worse.
He hasn't shown anything.
He had flashes a couple years ago, and he has flashes sometimes, but not often. That team's bad, and they invested it. They have weapons. They're just bad.
Well, we just talked about, I texted you the other day about Kenny Galladay. It just randomly, I showed up on the fantasy waiver wire, and we had drafted him in the Yahoo league that we're in, but he was the guy in Detroit. And he left Detroit, I guess, maybe. I never know. Do these guys care about money? They care about winning. I don't know what to say about that. But he left Detroit for the Giants, and I hope he likes the money because he's certainly not winning.
So here you go. It's
not that he would necessarily have been winning in Detroit.
In general, and they talk about this on the one radio show I listened to. Everybody from outside is the Jets are a joke of a franchise. They're all this stuff, and they're basically over the last decade. The Giants and the Jets are identical records. Their records are pretty much the same. I think the Giants might have one winning season, the Jets have none or something like that. But they are really from a success standpoint, long term, they are very much the same. Basically from the second Super Bowl that the Giants
won. I was
won.
gonna say we're a decade removed from that second Super Bowl.
Right.
Now.
So since then, they are pretty much you can match them up. They're pretty much statistically the same. Which is I don't know, and I agree with this because if I had to guess, I would have guessed that the Giants were significantly better than the Jets. You know what I mean? Even though the Giants haven't been very good.
Yeah. So that was our Texans Jaguars and toilet bowl talk about the terrible teams in the league that have been eliminated or are about to be eliminated from playoff contention. 2 teams that are in or fighting to be in the playoffs, Titans and Steelers. This was a game to watch today. Yeah. Titans were up, not big, but up on the Steelers at halftime. What was it, 13-6 or 13-3 or something like that? And the Steelers, like they did a few weeks ago against the Ravens, came back and were able to win 19-13. The Titans had a whole bunch of turnovers within a short time frame. 4 overall. Yeah. They certainly missed Derrick Henry, and I talked on the show a week or two ago about how I just don't trust Ryan Tannehill.
Right. I was gonna say Tannehill looked like he had issues today, but also Julio Jones, man, left the game again, hurt.
AJ Brown still out.
Right. They don't have the weapons right now. They're 9-5. What are the Colts? 7-7, I think.
No, I think they're 8-6.
Oh, they're 8-6. So they're 8-6.
Game back.
So they're game back, but they have the tie break. The Titans do because they beat them twice.
Yeah, 8-6.
Right. So they're 8-6, but the Titans are essentially 2 games up. The Titans are kind of hanging on. If
they can get healthy, they can make a run.
They could get Derrick Henry back in a few weeks.
Or maybe week 18.
Right. Or playoffs. But
can they make it? They'll make the playoffs, I would think. I don't see them going
unless they lose out.
9-8.
They're not going to lose out.
No, because they probably play the Texans and the Jaguars.
Yeah.
But
any
given Sunday,
they're not playing the Colts. They have to have some of their divisional games left.
Any given Sunday, just ask the Cardinals,
Yeah, who, man.
who scored 12
Falling
points
off a
in
cliff.
Detroit, who put up 30. A couple Penn Staters helping
So-
out Detroit.
Man, the Cardinals have gone, and this is one of those things where, like, this happened to the Cardinals last year. They looked like they were going to be okay, and then, like, they just fell off. And Kyler got hurt last year, and then it just wasn't the same. Like, I know that's not what it was today, but, like, what is it then? What is it? Like, it's just, I don't know. What about watching the Cardinals right now has you believing, like, oh, yeah, they're...
Yeah, what did they start, 7-0 or something like that?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just rough. I mean, losing the Rams last week, like, I get it.
Okay,
It's fine.
and
They're a good
you
team.
split the season series with
Right.
the Rams, like, okay.
But going to Detroit and losing, not just losing, getting beat up.
Yeah.
Getting beat up by the Lions.
Well, did they lose to the Niners before that? Like, I think they've lost 3 in a row. I think they might have been 10 or
No,
9
they
in-
haven't lost 3 in a row.
Okay.
No, they haven't lost 3 in a row. Yeah, just not good. Not a
No.
good look for Arizona. Not with the Rams coming on. Not with the way Green Bay looks, and Dallas is hanging in there. There's a whole bunch of teams in the NFC that they're trying to hold off for the NFC West, or maybe even that first round bye. But I think they're gonna have to kiss that goodbye after back-to-back losses now. One quasi-local thing to note: Craig Reynolds, the Detroit running back, 112 rushing yards. He's he played at Kutztown.
Yeah.
So really cool story with
I think he was the highest graded running back last week.
that's awesome. That's really cool. So I didn't mean to jump over my Dolphins, but they found a way to win again.
Hey.
Missing a couple key guys. Tua did not look good today. He had 2 bad interceptions.
Okay. The pick 6 though. Okay, maybe it wasn't the best read on his part, but also the wide receiver, like, didn't come back to the ball.
No, I know, and we saw that in the Arizona
went away.
Detroit
I'm
game
like,
too.
what are you doing? Like, on that route, you have to, like, come and get the ball. Like,
Right. We tell our kids all the time, don't wait for it. When you're seeing the ball and you finished your route, continue the route to the ball that's coming
Right.
to you, or bad things happen.
right, and the wide receiver literally just stood there, and the guy got
And
in front of him.
Ashton
and-
Davis
Right.
got in front of it.
Which all you had to do was, even if you don't catch it, just get in the way. You know, like, but he just, that wasn't a great throw, but worst play by the receiver, in my opinion.
Miami was missing Jalen Waddle. That was the biggest
Oh, yeah.
biggest one to be without, and the way he's played this year, and his attempts to make it a conversation or competition with Jamar Chase for the best rookie wide receiver out there. Look, I know people don't believe in Miami, and I get it. I can't say that I think that they're any kind of challenger, but they've won 6 in a row. And
They were 1-7.
The teams they beat are all bad. Yeah, but you still have to win those games.
Right.
They're beating NFL teams, even if twice it was the Jets.
Right.
Like, I get it. But they have a chance to make the playoffs. Not only make the playoffs, they can still, in theory, win the division. Now, they're behind Buffalo in wins, and Buffalo also has the tiebreakers that beat them twice. However, Buffalo has not looked good over the last 6 weeks. Miami plays New England yet, and Miami already beat New England once.
And they have to play in Miami.
So Miami has the Saints next week. They then have I forget who the game is, but they also have I guess the Patriots are the next one, because we already heard that New England has Jacksonville last week of the season. So it's Saints, Patriots. Oh, who's the last game? It's not a pushover. It's a legitimate competitive team. I can't remember it off the top of my head. They're done with the NFC South, so it's not any of those teams. But it's not an easy schedule, is what I'm getting at. It's not a world beater schedule, but it's a tough schedule. Oh, you know what? It might be the Titans.
Could be.
It might be the Titans. I really can't remember off the top of my head, but the Dolphins will get to prove it, and they have a 6-game winning streak. They're 7-7. They're 500. So we'll see what happens with the other games that are yet to be played, and see where Miami sits after this week's slate. But they got to win where it matters. and now they got to play the Saints. They get to play them on Monday night too. So everyone, if any of the injuries or COVID issues are lingering, Miami gets an extra day, just like the Saints will, to hopefully put all that behind them. The Bills, speaking of them, did get a win today. They defeated the Panthers, who lost their kicker pre-game.
Yeah.
Super weird.
Yeah.
That's not the first time this happened this year with the team,
No,
right? Was it?
no, it
Who
happened
was
in
it?
San Francisco.
San Francisco, yeah. So just bizarre. But the Panthers, they hung in for a bit, but Buffalo eventually went out there.
It was 24-14. Panthers missed the 2-point conversion, and then the Bills got a last-minute touchdown, like a throwaway touchdown, which killed me in fantasy because I'm going against Josh Allen. So, like,
oh yeah,
just another extra touchdown. Like, thanks, meaningless.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
So the Bills moved to 8-6 again. They're a game in front of Miami, a game behind.
All of Buffalo's
New
wins
England.
are by 15 or more points.
Right. So if it's a close game, they're going to lose. It's what it amounts to. Then a very exciting one out at Mile High.
Oh my gosh.
Cincinnati. This is a huge win for them because for time being, it puts them in first place in the AFC North, this win over Denver, but it also gives them a tiebreaker with Denver, and it also gave them a game lead on Denver. Whoever won was moving to 8-6, and whoever lost was dropping
I
to
should have
7-7.
known better. I picked the Broncos.
I took Cincinnati.
But the problem with that was, like, I should have just gone with it. The Eagles beat the Broncos. Don't pick the teams the Eagles beat. Like that.
Why would you do it that way? No. So not a high scoring game, very defensive battle, but Cincinnati beat Denver 15-10.
At one point in the second quarter, there were more punts than there were first downs in that game.
So I thought I had made the right move in fantasy. I benched Burrow to go with Garoppolo. Burrow finished with 1 or 2 more points. Garoppolo threw a touchdown, but it wasn't to my guy, Ayuk or Kittle, and it wasn't to my cousin's guy, Debo, but Debo had a rushing touchdown. Just killer. Denver did not beat a single team in the AFC North. Apparently that's their kryptonite this year, is the AFC North. Denver's a bit of a surprise, though. At 7-7, I think they've already overachieved. So if they could make the playoffs, that'd be interesting. I had invited on a Broncos fan, Coach O'Neill, to join us this evening. Unfortunately, he was unavailable, but I said it would be nice to talk to him to have a fresh perspective after we always are talking about, the AFC East and the NFC East. Getting a little AFC West action would be fun. So hopefully we can get him on again or get him on in the future. 49ers Falcons, I just talked about Jimmy Garoppolo. San Francisco's won 3 in a row at home now after losing 8 of their first 9 there over the last couple of years. Look out, San Francisco 8-6 all of a sudden. So they were a team that I was down on entering the year. There were people picking them to win the NFC. I was like, I just do not understand it. And the way the year started, I looked right. Now it doesn't look as good for me. That doesn't look as good.
And like they've seemingly found their offense. They're getting those weapons. They're seemingly getting those weapons like in the right spot, and they're using Ayuk and they're using like those guys the right way. And hey, look out.
So the 49ers beat the Falcons 31-13. Atlanta, though, sitting at 6-8. Again, I think they overachieved. I think they're moving right along. I think if you look at the Atlanta roster, for them to have won 6 games, I think is impressive. We talked about it last week, not having Calvin Ridley around. Right. They're using Cordero Patterson in a running back role.
Right.
They just have a bunch of no-name guys, by and large, at least to the larger viewing public. Who you look at that Atlanta roster, I don't know where you pick 6 wins from. So good for them. They came out on the short end today, but Atlanta definitely having a better season than expected by many. And then we mentioned at the beginning of the show, Baltimore, Green Bay, Ravens losing again with a missed 2-point conversion. Green Bay wins 31-30 in Baltimore to move to 11-3, the best record in the NFL. So is Green Bay the team to beat?
Honestly, I'd say right now, I'd say they are the team to beat. I don't like saying that, but I'd say they are the team to beat. Because who else in the NFC, like right now, who in the NFC are you going to pick to go to
Lambeau.
Green Bay and say they have a better chance to win than Green Bay would have. Like, I'm not saying it can't happen. Like, I'm not saying they're prohibitive favorites. But, like, there's not a team in the NFC right now that I'm saying goes to Lambeau in the mid-late January, and I think has a better chance to win that game than Green Bay does. You know what I mean? Like,
No, and I'm with you, and all the common sense or normal conditions apply.
Right. And I'm not saying it's going to happen. I'm just saying, like, I guess you could say Tampa. You know, like,
I think people give them the benefit of the doubt as well, just after
Right.
what happened last year. But
right.
I don't trust Aaron Rodgers or the Packers at large with what we've seen them choke over the last few years
Right.
when it comes to that second season. It's just not. I can't get into Green Bay. And I don't want to say it's just me not liking Aaron Rodgers, but they've also proved it or haven't proved it on the field too many times.
Right.
And I hope they continue to do so. And I told you before the show, I'm going on record saying Green Bay is not going to win the NFC this year. Everything you just said makes it seem
So
like
what
it
was
should
it?
be them, but
Someone was like, imagine having, like, they went from Brett Favre.
30
Aaron
it was
Rodgers.
Ross Tucker. 30 years of
Right.
Hall of Fame quarterback play.
Right.
They've only won the NFC 3 times and only have 2 Super Bowl
Right.
titles.
I'm trying to
In
think.
30 years.
Who did they lose to when they went to the Super Bowl?
The Packers?
Yeah.
The Broncos.
Okay, that's what I thought, but I wasn't 100% sure. So Aaron Rodgers has only been to the Super Bowl once? And he won it? He beat the Steelers.
They beat the Steelers, yeah. Is that right?
Like, that just didn't sound right to me.
It doesn't sound right, but I think it is right.
I think it is.
I think but that's the thing.
Right.
They come up short in big moments all the time.
Right.
All the time.
Don't get me wrong.
I'm happy about it.
I'm forever grateful they beat
That's
the
great.
Steelers.
I right. My dad says right now if I had to pick NFC Championship, he would say Tampa Bay, Green Bay.
Yeah,
and AFC, he'd say Kansas City, New England. That's like my worst nightmare come like all together. I think we were in a similar situation last year. I pinned all my hopes on Kansas City. It came up short. Unfortunate. I don't want to have to do that again. Because once again, I would want it to be Kansas City, Tampa Bay. Hopefully Kansas City could come out on top there, but I can't have New England in there. That is a no-go, and I don't want Green Bay. If it's Green Bay, New England, I'm not watching.
That's a lie.
I'm not watching. Nope, I'm not watching. I am not watching. If it's New England, Tampa Bay, I am not watching.
Yes, you are.
No, I'm not
Yes,
watching.
you are.
Check back with me in February. Ask me on Valentine's Day if I watched.
That's like to me, honestly, I can't even imagine. Like, if it was Dallas anymore, I don't know that there's an AFC team I dislike enough to not watch. That I like. It wouldn't matter. Like, if it was Dallas against anyone, I'm rooting for anyone. Like, I would root for the Steelers over Dallas. But that's
That
probably
doesn't surprise me.
that's probably as close as it gets to I'm not watching. Like,
My dad says, and you mentioned this earlier in the show, unless Dallas gets their offense fixed, there's no chance they're going to be able to compete with Green Bay
well,
and
they
Tampa
can
Bay.
get it fixed. Like, it's not
Because earlier in the year, they were lighting it up. They were
Right.
moving things around
and
really
they're
well.
good, but like,
They need some time.
right.
So, I don't know. I don't know. For some reason, he's giving me the middle finger. I don't know what
Yeah,
that's
I know.
about. You're going to need a few more of those emojis to count the number of years you now have to your name. So, but since it's not quite the end of the show, but I'll say it now. Happy birthday to my dad.
Yeah. Happy birthday to you yesterday.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, we got this back-to-back birthday thing going in my family. My sister continued the tradition when Logan was born, now almost 3 years ago, as he was born the day before her birthday. I was born the day before my dad's birthday, and now that was 37 long years ago, if you can believe it.
I can believe
I
it.
think you can believe it. You're pretty close. You got a few months on me, so yeah. I don't know. Like, there's part of me that likes the way the NFL season has gone, not from a Dolphins perspective, but just like a football fan
That, like,
perspective.
there's so many
that
teams
oh
still in it.
man, there's 32 teams in the league, and I don't want to say like 20 have a realistic shot at the Super Bowl, but I mean, they kind of do. I mean, we've seen the Steelers and other teams that make it at 9-7 and make the Super Bowl or win the Super Bowl.
Right, team that gets healthy or hot right now is really good, and that's why I don't count out the Cowboys yet because they've gotten healthy. Like they've gotten healthy. If they get hot,
Right.
look out. But
Let's see who's this year's Tampa Bay. Will there be a team like that?
Right.
We'll find out. But get him. Get Leonard Fournette. Fumble.
yeah, my guy just shredded his knee,
you,
so I'm in trouble.
That's unfortunate for so many reasons.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. The least of which is my fantasy team. Like
I thought that was number one.
like Chris Godwin, who's on a franchise tag, just possibly blew out his knee.
And on the defending Super Bowl champions, possibility of winning
Right.
again.
Oh,
Penn
and
State
he's had a
graduate.
ton of catches the last 2 weeks. He's been their hottest receiver the last 2 weeks. Yeah, you just hate to see that.
No, absolutely. I hate when those type of injuries just. Oh, I saw something fly. I thought he fumbled. But
Reminds me of the old Mad game. His helmet came off. The good news is his head wasn't in it.
Oh, by the way, in 5 days,
Yeah,
All
man.
Madden is premiering on Fox at like 2:00 leading into the evening
Right,
game.
right.
I am very excited to. I probably will tape it. I doubt I'll get to watch that live. But
what else do you have going on?
who knows? Kids, family. What do you need? No, I got John
Go
Madden.
play with
That's
your
all
new
he needs.
Nintendo Switch.
That's
slides.
right. Yeah.
I'm gonna go.
To
Daddy's gonna
set up
watch this.
those, to set those up, I had to add my profile to each of
Well,
them. I had to test to make sure everything was working. Last night, Kelly is like giving me the side eye as she's hearing Sonic the Hedgehog play. I'm like, I'm just testing. I'm just making sure it works. She's like,
You're on level 34. Well, I've heard there's a glitch at the 35th
right.
level.
I'm just making sure that doesn't happen. But yeah, so All Madden on Fox, leading up to the Christmas Day game. There's 2 Christmas Day games since Christmas is a Saturday, so it'll be interesting to watch that. I think it's going to be really, really good. That it's amazing the respect and adulation that John Madden has from obviously past,
Right.
why coach and then legendary broadcaster, but even current guys who are playing now that he never called their games.
Right. Well, and
But
for
they
some of
talk
those
to
guys-
Mahomes and Lamar Jackson, and they have just this reverence for him.
When did Madden stop announcing games?
10 or 11 years ago.
Right. Like, so like the
There's
guys
an entire
coming-
generation now
Yeah.
that don't really have anything other than YouTube videos.
Right. Right.
But that was the thing that was cool in the article I read on The Athletic about them making this and how it came together, and could they get John to commit to it and being on screen and everything.
They were like, because he's real supportive of the idea. Like he was really
Yeah.
open to it, but they're like, he doesn't really.
He's
do
self-conscious about because of his age now.
Interviews.
He's in his 80s.
Right. He doesn't hear very well, and his voice isn't as booming.
But I'm very much looking forward to it. I think it's going to be very, very interesting, very well done. And they said that they requested interviews with 38 people. Not a single person turned them
Right.
down. They interviewed all 38 people they wanted to, including huge names. Like I believe
Right.
Peyton Manning and was Tom Brady also listed there too?
I think he might have been. But like I saw, this was a discussion a long time ago, and they were like basically saying, this is back on the old Mike and Mike radio shows. They were talking about how they're like, Madden has a legitimate shot to eventually end up in the Hall of Fame for 3 different categories: as an announcer,
That is
as an
crazy.
influencer of the game, and as a coach. Like that he like, and they're like, and they basically broke it down. They're like, you can make a Hall of Fame worthy case in each of the 3 categories. And honestly, again, this is generational, but like the influencer of the game, like by and far, like he revolutionized video games in general. Like sports video games exist the way they do because of Madden. Like,
People, when you're playing sports games, I'm going to go play FIFA. I'm going to go play 2K, which is NBA
Right,
2K.
right.
I'm going to go play college football.
Right.
I'm going to go play I'm going to go play Madden.
Madden.
I'm going to
Right.
go play Madden. And everyone knows you're going to play a pro football game, American football video game.
Right.
But they don't say I'm going to go play NFL. They play I'm going to go play Madden because that's a good sign
Oh my
for
gosh.
Chris Godwin up and running. We'll see.
Maybe he'll come in and score 3 touchdowns.
Don't call it a comeback.
Put him in there.
What's the worst that could happen? So yeah,
I'm just saying how terrible it is. I'm like, get out there, sacrifice your leg.
there's one thing that you just said about 3 Hall of Fame careers for John Madden, people talk about that about Tom Brady, about how you can split up his like segments of his career, and that he had a Hall of Fame career in just each.
Yeah, but there are no
segment.
asterisks on any of John Madden's careers.
No, none in there. Oh man, I'm not
I
sure
have a
my
feeling-
uncle's listening.
I don't
tonight.
think he is, but I feel like we're going to get a midweek email.
We
now.
might have a midweek email coming. Speaking of, as we wrap up here, obviously we're not going to do a show next Sunday. It's the day after Christmas. We both are going to be doing more events with families over the holidays.
Family.
Yeah, family requirements. But I would like to do a show in between Christmas and New Year's. I don't know that Justin will be around. Certainly not in person. I doubt he'll be able to join us, at least for any lengthy duration, via phone. So I'm looking to see who I can get to come in here. I'd like to do it live with someone. So I'll talk to a few people, aiming right now for Tuesday the 28th. Because if there's COVID delays, there might be football to watch. No, hopefully that doesn't happen for a second week in a row. But I am planning on having a show sometime in the next 10 days or so. So episode 344, tentatively Tuesday, December 28th. Post-Christmas, pre-New Year's. We'll see what happens there. But I don't want to miss a week. We missed so much of this show just doing Bulldog Hour throughout the fall. I don't want to skip, and I know we're probably going to have to skip at the end of January when my daughter's birthday is. Right. So, and then we always take off the night of the Super Bowl because we just want to let the NFL have that night.
Yeah,
so.
yeah.
But we'll see. We'll see what's hanging out there. But, yeah, anything else you wanted to talk about, Justin, as we head into Christmas here and we're getting close to putting a bow on Week 15 of the NFL?
No, it's just it's pretty cool how there's so much. There's so many teams that are still in it. I think that's good for the NFL overall. Like we talked about this a little bit last week. I think it's good when there are some great teams, and there are teams for the NFL. It's good when the teams that people love or hate are good. So, like, Tampa Bay being good is good because of Tom Brady being there, not because of Tampa Bay. Because Tampa Bay in general, people really couldn't care less about. In terms of, you know what I mean? Like, if they were good without Tom Brady, like, if it was Jameis still there, like...
No one would care.
People would watch because they're good, but not to the ways they watch because Tom Brady's there. Dallas moves the needle. Yes. New England now moves the needle. Not when we were kids.
The last
20 when we were kids, they were just a team.
They were a laughingstock. They were the Jets.
Yeah. Yeah.
They were the Jets.
Yeah. Imagine being a Jets fan and Bill Belichick was your coach for a day and then left to be New England's coach.
Rough.
That's one of those crazy stories.
That is a crazy story.
Bill Belichick, best Jets coach ever, right?
I guess he didn't lose. I guess I never finished that thought. I said about how, it's probably good that there's 20 teams that are in the running for playoffs and that you could make an argument maybe that they could make the Super Bowl or something. But honestly, I like it better. I like it better when they're like good teams.
No, I know. Like,
I don't like it, but we say it all the time. In terms of like your organization, you don't want your team to be before it was 6-10 to 9-7. Like you don't want to be in that zone.
Right.
We have so many teams in that zone right now.
Right. Well, that's like I said to my dad today. I was like, I want the Eagles game against the Cowboys to not matter, one way or the other. I want them to either be like maybe in a wild card spot and it not matter, or maybe it just doesn't matter to the Cowboys, But like, I want it to not matter, or, and this sounds terrible, but like, the worst thing that can happen is the Eagles to win 3 out of 4 and be the best team to miss the playoffs. Now, they still are going to have 3 first-round picks because Carson Wentz, unless something really crazy happens, hit his threshold last night, and they are also trending towards the playoff, which would lower the percentage threshold that he would actually need to play. Now, those picks aren't going to be as high as what they looked like maybe the first month of the season. They had three of the top 10 picks for a little while. But that's okay. And honestly, that's fine.
Yeah, because
that's fine.
All the teams that they needed to suck, including themselves, did suck. And now all the Now all the teams that the picks they have, including their own, are better.
Right. So like imagine, and this is what I was trying to say. Like imagine if they do sneak into that 7th spot and lose in the first round of the playoffs. But imagine being a playoff team that has 3 first-round picks. Like not a terrible spot to be.
You know what my next question is, though.
Yeah, I hope they don't take Kenny Pickett. I'll tell you that much.
No, I was going
Okay.
to say, do you trust Howie to not screw it up?
No, Howie is absolutely going to screw it up. But if we have 3, he might get 1 right. And here's the thing. As much as I give Howie crap because he's screwed up a ton, there have been guys who have been playing well for the Eagles this year who are guys that he drafted. The problem is, like, oh my gosh. Yeah. There's so many mistakes. Like the mistakes he's made have been huge mistakes. And that's the problem. Like he hasn't hit home runs with his draft picks for the most part, but he's struck out looking a lot.
That's rough.
Oh, that's another thing I want that grinds my gears.
You know what grinds my gears?
How many 4th downs did we see teams throw the ball a yard
Short of the
short?
sticks.
Or early in the game, the Ravens, I know you're the backup quarterback, he ran out of bounds.
On 4th down.
Yeah, now he was like
that.
tackled out of bounds, but he didn't throw it. Throw the ball. The Titans threw the ball. It was 4th and 6. They threw it 5 yards. It happened in multiple games today. Guys threw it a yard short, and I just.
Do you think that's poor play design, poor play execution, poor coaching to be like, hey, this goes all the way back to, I mean, honestly, middle school. Like, even Little League.
I
need
think
to
it's
know
game sense.
field
I think
awareness.
it's game sense. Think about how many
Right,
NFL
so then it's poor play execution.
Right.
It wasn't drawn up poorly, it just was
Right.
executed poorly.
I think there are plays where it's like, oh, what we would call like 7 back to 5. But if it's like
Taste of
4th and
relief.
6, then like you as a coach should not have to tell your professional wide receiver, hey, that's not 7 to 5, it's 8 to 6 this time.
Right.
Or
Right.
9 to 7.
Right.
Like you shouldn't have to tell your professional.
Right,
that. At the same time, I look at it. Every time there's a tie, there's always NFL players saying they didn't know that you could tie in the NFL. So like, I don't put it all on like the coaches or the play call. I think, and look, sometimes the defense forces your hand, and you got to get rid of the ball early. I understand that, but here's a brilliant idea. You don't think that they're going to bring pressure like on 4th down, like. If you're gonna throw short, I'd rather you throw a screen.
Right. Yeah, because at least then you have linemen coming to possibly spring the guy.
Right. Like if you think they're gonna bring like the zero blitz, like teams have really fallen in love with that. If you think they're gonna bring that like zero blitz and bring everyone and get the ball out of your hand quick, why not do that instead of throwing, to a guy. And sometimes the guy's coming across, like, which I get because you've got multiple options there. But if he's coming across, he's not running in the direction he needs to get the first down.
Right. Oh man,
It's just frustrating.
It is frustrating,
And
very
it's,
much so.
Yeah, it's games that like I don't really care. Like Tennessee and Pittsburgh, I don't really care.
But we like good football.
But like, how do you throw short of the sticks? Like I don't.
No, it's a great question. It's one. Also, how can you not kick the football? How many extra points? Yeah, I don't want to get into this because we're at the end,
right.
but I still don't get why they felt the need to push that back. Like, I don't think it makes the game better. Like, if people roll their eyes and are like, I missed another kick, missed another extra
Right.
point. Like,
I mean, it does add a dimension because people like never missed the kicks before, and
Right.
they do now. But like, yeah, I don't really get it.
yeah. Whew. So, all right. Well, I think that's it for us here on episode 343 of the Joe Mason J-Raff Show. We talked about nearly every game about the NFL Week 15 here in 2021, and we've got 4.5 games left to go. Best wishes to Chris Godwin. Hopefully that injury isn't serious for him in this Tampa Bay game against New Orleans, which the Bucs are winning. Was it 6-0, I think, at the moment. I'd be okay with it ending that way if it means Fournette doesn't get in the end zone. So we'll see what happens, as many of us are in our fantasy football playoffs. And those are very, very necessary or unnecessary points that could be left on the field. But much like the Thursday night game where I went to bed in the fourth quarter and the game has not a scoring affair, Patrick Mahomes had 7 points against me in my league, and I woke up and he had 34. And I only didn't see the last, 13 minutes of the game. You know, I went to bed right at the end of the third quarter, and I couldn't believe it when I woke up and I saw that he had done that much damage in fourth quarter and overtime. I just couldn't believe it. But I'm not done yet. So come on, Dalvin Cook. Come on, Antonio Gibson. And Gibson, 200 yards and 3 touchdowns. If I say it, it'll happen, right?
I hope not.
I'm going to have to keep saying it. So anything for you to say before we're gone? We won't see you until the new year. So
That's crazy. Yeah, have
2022.
Yeah, have a great holiday, and yeah, enjoy
2020 part 3.
Enjoy being 37.
Thanks. How is it?
Just more things hurt.
Well, okay. Well, I'm not sure that that's possible for me, but we'll see. I guess I'm only one day into this thing, so still got 364 to go.
Pace yourself.
All right. Once again, happy birthday to my dad, Bill. Thanks for watching. He said he's not paying us. May Sandwich Shop isn't paying us to not have a show, so we better have a show in the next week or so. So, we got the ultimatum, so I guess I got to figure something out. All right. Thanks for watching or listening, everyone.
No, I'll tell you later.
Your conscience got the best of you there.
Yes.
So.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks for listening. I hope everyone has a Merry Christmas and has been having a great holiday season. And I'll be back with a guest in about 7 to 10 days, which is, I believe, what now Amazon's 2-day shipping is. So have a good one, everyone.
That's a wrap on this episode of the Joe Mays and J-Raff Show, brought to you by Mays Sandwich Shop. Woo-hoo! You can watch each weekly episode live on Facebook, Periscope, or YouTube. Be sure to like, follow, or subscribe to the show on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, SoundCloud, Apple Podcasts, and Google Play. You can also rate and review us on many of these platforms as well. We'd love to hear from you. Send your emails to the Mays Sandwich Shop inbox at joemaysandjraff@gmail.com. The Joe Mays and J-Raff Show is a part of the JMNJR Radio Network, home to other productions such as The Bulldog Hour, Tangents with Friends, and Nat Chats with Dad. Until next time.